Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Hat and Beard Show. It is April 29th, 2025. We are a few days removed from the 2025 NFL Draft, and this ship is full sail right into the desert that is the NFL offseason. We're going to do the best we can to bring you guys as much content as we possibly can with the NFL and Detroit Lions. You know, there will be a few days where it'll be a little bit more fluff than we really want to, but guys, we're going to be milking the NFL horse the rest of this week as much as we can. We've got a couple of little articles here pulled up for you. Hopefully for the last time between now and the start of the regular season. This will be the last time that we talk about the Shedeur slide. Colorado Buffaloes quarterback Shedeur Sanders, ex-NFL star, fires off. Shedeur Sanders warning before career begins. Browns eventually took Sanders in the 5th round. We'll look to see what that warning was. It was an old head saying the quiet part out loud. The OG viewers of this channel know I am a sucker for somebody saying the quiet part out loud. We will be rolling over to A to Z Sports. This is a little bit of an opinion piece, a little bit of tea leaf reading, but there is a hunch that the Lions may have tried to trade up for an edge rusher in the draft, and we'll take a look at who that might have been and kind of connect some dots in our own very unique way. Instead of going like this, we're going to go like this. We will be looking at the offensive guard room for the Lions after the big draft weekend where we took not one, but two big-time offensive guards to help inject a little bit of youth and a little bit of longevity to that position. Kevin Zeitler, Graham Glasgow. Obviously, Zeitler's down in Tennessee now, and Graham Glasgow, not quite what he once was, and hopefully he doesn't take yet another step back like he did last year. However, if that's the case, we have a stable of young, talented, physical offensive linemen to replace there. And then finally, we'll be wrapping it up with the thumbnail boy himself, my guy, Mr. Mullet, the Michigan Mullet. 5 things we need to know about new Lions offensive lineman Tate Ratledge. Guys, make sure you answer the poll down below. Are we geniuses, or do we all just ride the short bus? Because we called the Tate Ratledge pick all week leading up to the draft. Thursday in our pre-draft live show, I said I had to walk out of this draft with Tate Ratledge, and by God, did Brad Holmes ever deliver. But, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, cats, dogs, fishes, and birds, before we do any of this, I'm sure you're asking yourself, boy, Hat, it's nice to see a live show going on here. Or if you're watching the replay, maybe you question, hey, how can I watch this show and engage live every Monday through Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here at youtube.com? How can I be part of the live show? How can I interact with the chat? We got guys like I'm Chasing Chase. Let's go. Hope the morning is going well. Hope the morning is going well for you, brother. He's a longtime friend and a longtime follower. An even better friend than a follower, for real, Chase. You're the man. And you can be part of the community. We are, as a community, collectively trying to get Chase off the Red Bulls. That's right. We are all in this together. We're trying to get my boy Chase here to give up the Red Bulls, live a little bit healthier of a life, something we're going to talk about next week for all of us and what we can do to benefit the Lions. So if you want to be a part of that, do me a solid. Go ahead and barrel roll on over to the bathtub underneath the video here. And, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Then if you're wanting desperately to be a part of this morning bonanza, go ahead and ring the notification bell. It is the number one thing that you can do to be notified if and when any content from the Hat and Beard Show is out or goes live. It's a push-button notification sent directly to your mobile device. You just click that bad boy, and you can be part of the show every Monday through Wednesday. We will be expanding Monday through Friday come the start of the 2025 NFL season, probably around training camp time. Don't forget the Lions play the inaugural Hall of Fame game, preseason week 1. We get to see the first debut before anybody else of our team. And then poke the like button. It helps people decide that, hey, this is something that I should watch when it's recommended to them. And if you want to really help me manipulate the algorithm and force our content out to the stratosphere, help grow this channel. We are climbing and climbing more than I really thought we could do during the off season, and it's all because of you right there on the other side of that screen. You are a big part of this. So, two things with sharing. One, go ahead and click the share button, right? It's pretty simple. Now, I totally understand. I wouldn't want to be affiliated with myself either, okay? So you don't have to share it around with all your friends. You can if you feel so inclined, and that's an OG move right there. But just go ahead and copy that link down on your clipboard. It tells the algorithm that it got shared around, and it helps push the algorithm out, helps push us through the algorithm out to other viewers and help this channel grow. I like to think we have a little bit of a different take than your normal YouTube talking heads. We try and come at it with a little bit more of a blue-collar, old-school style. I myself was raised on sports talk radio back in the day, and I feel that that is a niche that is drastically lacking in today's world. So now that that is all out of the way, boys and girls, why don't we go ahead and get into the main show?
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
All right, guys, we are going to be rolling on over to, yet again, Fox News. Think of them what you will. They do have some interesting, not just political articles here. They do cover everything, sports included. Ex-NFL star fires off Shedeur Sanders warning before career begins. The Browns eventually took Sanders in the 5th round. This coming out today at 7 a.m. from Ryan Gatos. There's Shedeur Sanders staring down, trying to look as intimidating as possible. And that is like watching a rabbit try and stare down a fox. Former Pittsburgh Steelers running back Merrill Hodge was ahead of most pundits with his criticism of Shedeur Sanders and his prediction for the former Colorado quarterback's NFL future. Sanders was projected to be selected as high as number 2 overall in the NFL draft, but his epic fall, or as I call it, the Shedeur slide to the 5th round, became the talk of the event. The Cleveland Browns eventually made the decision to draft him, even after picking quarterback Dylan Gabriel earlier on in the draft. Hodge shared his opinion on Sanders days before the draft began in an interview with WDVE in Pittsburgh. WDVE in Pittsburgh. Quote, I think the best way to sum him up is, he's a really good college quarterback. His accuracy is good. His processing is good. And when I say good, I use it on a scale of 1 to 10. So good is around 5. So if you're a 5 in college, okay, those accuracy and processes are the most important aspects of transitioning to the NFL. And when you build from there, anticipation, pocket awareness, and then we start building. But those two things, if you're a 5, you're not a first rounder. You are not a franchise guy. And I think the NFL showed everybody exactly what they think of Shedeur Sanders. Furthermore, Hodges took issue with Sanders' allegedly inflated numbers. This is true. The Buffalo Star has the FBS all-time record for completion percentage at 71.8, but Hodge dismissed that as Sanders threw a lot of bubble screens. Let's go Lions. Good morning, Mr. Detroit City. Let's go you, bro. We got a little slice of your weather. Up here in Michigan, it is like 75 degrees at 10 a.m. So I appreciate you sending some weather up here. Got my allergies going a little bit here, boys, and got a little bit of sweat up here. So, yeah, I completely agree. Mr. Detroit City, you completely summed it up. Shedeur Sanders is dog water. Yeah, he's just not that good. He could have the career ceiling for Shedeur Sanders is the career ceiling for Chase Daniels. He will be a very highly paid backup quarterback. Unfortunately, your office is still 50. Chase, whoa, dang, man. Your guys' chillers are running good. You're in the office today, so I understand you're going to be a little busy in and out. Appreciate you popping in when you can here, bud. Yeah, 50 is a little chilly. 50 is a little chilly, I guess, and they're not going to want to run the steam because, well, it's 75. It'll warm up, though, bud. It'll warm up. Or ask him to open up a window. Hodge said he did not believe using those types of plays were going to translate to the NFL. He said teams will be looking for the skill set that guys like Joe Burrow, C.J. Stroud, and Jaden Daniels have. And when you compare Shedeur Sanders to any of those guys, he is just a bad comparison. Joe Burrow, big-bodied, big arm. C.J. Stroud, relatively big body, relatively athletic, incredibly decisive in the pocket, makes a lot of smart plays. And then Jaden Daniels, athletic freak, howitzer of an arm comparative to Shedeur Sanders, and much more athletic outside of the pocket. Quote, he ain't even close. He ain't even in the ballpark. There's some toughness to him I like, but how he moves, he ain't going to put the fear in anybody. Adding that teams should be wary about Sanders being able to handle the expectations that come along with being a first-round pick. He ain't quite as structurally sound in the head, in my opinion. Armchair quarterback or armchair psychologist here. Quote, he can't handle the expectations that are coming his way. He's going to be an epic failure, and he's going to set your organization back another 2 or 3 years. And I think the NFL all seem to agree with that. Those expectations subsided a little bit once he fell to the 5th round. However, Sanders is in a position to win the starting job in camp, as it is not set in stone that Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco will be QB1 once the season begins. Gabriel is the all-time leader in touchdown passes at the FBS level, but even when he was picked late in the draft. Between me and y'all, Shedeur Sanders is going to have to compete with Dillon Gabriel for that QB3 spot. We will see Dylan or Dan. Why do I keep saying Daniels? Gabriel. We'll be seeing a lot of Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders in the preseason. I don't expect to see a lot of Joe Flacco, as honestly, I think Joe Flacco does unofficially walk into camp as QB1. Familiarity with the system, familiarity with the NFL, and has played for a long time at an elite level. Super Bowl winning quarterback. Kenny Pickett, yes, also is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That is, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that until I said it, pardon me. But he did win a ring and took a couple snaps in the Super Bowl, backing up Jalen Hurts in Philly. But then they moved him to Cleveland, and then Cleveland decided to take not 1, but 2 quarterbacks in the draft, including a first-round projected Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, getting arguably what could be said as the best value in the NFL draft. So hopefully this is the last time that we talk about Shedeur Sanders for a little bit, guys. He's, in our opinion, dog water. Been saying this for weeks now. Has a very low career ceiling. Cam Ward has a very much higher career ceiling. Fundamentally, I did say, though, that I do feel that Shedeur Sanders maybe has more polished tools in his toolbox right now, mostly because of the NFL pedigree that he was exposed to, players, personnel-wise, and the slight toolage he may have gotten from, like, a Tom Brady. We know that he worked out with him. And Deion isn't going to just produce scrub athletes, but I don't think that Deion is going to be able to produce Hall of Fame quarterback children. I don't think Shedeur is that guy. Walking on over to the chat, Frank the Tank. Good morning, Frank. Hey, Frank, shout out you. That Isaac Tesla pick, huh? Look at us. We called two of the Lions picks, huh? What up, though? To all the East Siders, go Lions. Go Frank the Tank, my guy. Mr. S, good morning, Mr. S. Would that be Paul? Would you be Mr. S, Paul? I'm not exactly sure. I feel like your name was something different a little bit ago, my guy. But good morning to y'all. Welcome. Hope you guys are having a good start to the morning. If you haven't already, would you mind liking the video down below, subscribing to the channel if you're new here. Go ahead and ring that notification bell so that you never miss out on any future content, and share this video around with all your friends. It genuinely helps the channel grow. We're going to roll on over here to A to Z Sports. Yep, good morning, Paul. How you doing, brother? Glad to have you in here. Hopefully things are doing well for you, bud. Hopefully you're enjoying this warm weather that we got going on. Down here to A to Z Sports. No, they are not what you would call a mainstream news outlet. We have read them before here on the channel, and they do relatively decent work. I feel that they give us a little bit of a different angle than your CBSs and your Foxes do, but just a hunch, the Lions may have tried to trade up for an edge rusher in the 2025 NFL Draft, and we have an idea of who it was. Now, let us go ahead and just take a big old grain of salt with this. This is the same, not necessarily article or news outlet, but the same media sphere that was convincing us all and telling us that J-Mo was going to be traded that night of the draft. So take everything that they say with a giant giant, call it a full corn of salt, right? You don't need a grain. You need a full corn of salt. And let's just see what they were talking here. So, the 2025 NFL Draft is in the books, and the Detroit Lions walked out with Ohio State defensive tackle Tyleik Williams in the first round, and I am ecstatic, over the moon about that selection. There is no doubt in my mind that they're happy with this pick, and that Lions fans should be too. I think being happy is an understatement. We need to be elated that we got such an elite level athlete that was slept on and going to be playing with a massive chip on his shoulder. In my opinion, he should be able to excel tremendously, massive steps as a rookie, even better in his sophomore year. When you put Calvin Shepard's toolage, the defensive scheme, guys coming back from health, it just everything ticks up. It's a perfect landing spot for Tyleik Williams. Not a lot of pressure put on him. There will be pressure early on to fill in for Aleem the Dream McNeil, though we do have other bodies in house to reduce the amount of snaps if he's not producing. Now, if he is producing, it allows him to excel the first half quarter of the season or whatever that Aleem is out. I've seen some projections he should be back November-ish at the latest. And then, if he is playing well, then that adds another weapon to your arsenal. However, if he's not necessarily playing to the point where you want him to, you can continue to reduce his snap and his workload because Aleem the Dream will be back doing dancing bear things in the back of the opponent's backfield, sacking the quarterback along with Hutch. And then you can allow Tyleik to develop a little bit more and play not as, I don't want to say as many impactful snaps, but there isn't necessarily the snaps there where he'll be taking step backwards. It should be all forward taking steps in his development, if any of that makes sense. But looking at just a few things, it gave us a hunch. Now I want to be extra super careful here by telling you that this is just my hunch, my opinion, and it is not based on any inside information. So he rubbed his little magic Buddha belly and said, "This is what my tum-tum's telling me." He said, "I think the Lions tried to trade up for Texas A&M edge rusher Shedeur Sanders on Thursday night, not the Texas A&M edge rusher that I wanted. I wanted Nick Scorton. Here's why I think that. First off, on day 2, Lions GM Brad Holmes talked about trading up when asked about edge rushers. Quote, I don't need to get into specifics, but there were times we made attempts to get one, and you got picked before you couldn't get up. It takes 2 to trade. That's what I was saying yesterday. Trading around in the draft requires 2 organizations. You can't just live in this Madden world where we want to trade up to 12, right? So there's the proof that the Lions attempted to trade up for one. Why do we think it was Stewart? It's all based on top 30 visits. Lions really seem to love picking the guys they have in for those visits. Isaac Tasala, shout out Frank the Tank, and Tyleik Williams are more proof of that. We'll probably find out Tate Ratledge, shout out Hat and Beard Show, and Miles Frazier, shout out no one picked him. Came in too at some point. The Lions had just 3 edge rushers in for the top 30 visits, and only one of them was a first-round guy. That was Stewart. He wound up going 17th to the Bengals, and the Bengals really needed that guy. I'll be honest. He did not seem very happy about getting drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals aren't necessarily the best franchise. We know they don't sink too much money into their facilities historically. They did just spend an obscene amount of money on 2 wide receivers, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both being re-signed to long-term deals in Cincinnati, which will cost them a cool $69 million. Nice. Against the cap every year. So we'll see if the investment going all in, they're all in. They're all in on these young guys. Going all in on offense works, and if they can build through the draft with guys like Shedeur Sanders, I don't think Cincinnati's going to have what it takes to tangle with Baltimore. Stewart was also the only edge taken between the 12th and the Lions pick at 28. There was James Pierce Jr. at 26, but that was never going to happen for Detroit, and I don't believe they ever looked at him. I don't think we really did ever look at James Pierce. He's a freak athlete, but I don't think he was ever really a good system fit, culture fit. I say the same thing about Mike Green. As much as I wanted Mike Green, the more I looked into the off-the-field issues, he was never going to come to Detroit. Brad Holmes was never going to take on that just fucking nightmare. I really thought we were going to go after like a Josiah Stewart, but, ifs and buts, we ended up getting my guy Tate Ratledge, and I couldn't be happier about it. So there it is. I say again, this is not a rumor. This is not anything that we heard or anything like that. This is purely op-ed, purely a hunch. And then we're going to go ahead and vote. Do you think Tyleik Williams is a good pick for the Lions? I think yes. And we will vote. I'm not going to fill in an email. Okay, fine. To hell with you, A to Z Sports. So there you go. A to Z Sports coming in with a little bit of an opinion piece on that they think the Lions were going to trade up to get an edge rusher in the first round. Next, we're going to come on over here to Lions Wire. We're going to keep flying through these articles. We got this one and one more. We might end up a little short today, guys, but that's no problem. A little bit more time to get outside and enjoy the sunshine. Sorry about that, guys. Got a little bit of allergy issues here. Now that we hit the oil can, we're ready to go. Lions Wire, analyzing the Lions' offensive guard room after trading up for Ratledge and Miles Frazier. What does drafting two OGs, offensive guards, raise the concerns for the existing group? I had pre-draft moderate medical concerns for the existing interior offensive line. The Lions certainly know much more than is known to the public, so their doubling up on offensive guards in the draft could signal a significant concern. Not only did the team draft two offensive guards, they traded up to do so, which suggests they felt an urgent need to fortify that position. On the other hand, why is drafting two offensive guards not necessarily a reflection on the existing group? In the fifth round, the Lions are not expecting to get an instant starter. Getting a solid long-term backup in that round would be perfectly fine outcome. It's quite possible that Frazier simply stood out as the best player available, despite bigger needs along the defensive line. Also, when you look at Frazier's playing history, he has potential versatility with extended experience at offensive tackle. With the existing offensive tackle group, there is a need for young backups and a potential long-range starter. The current backup is Dan Skipper, who is 30 years old. Maybe second-year Giovanni Manu can fill that role, but he has yet to see the field. If you add Frazier into that offensive tackle mix, the pick makes a lot of sense. We're going to have a rundown of the key members of the interior offensive line, starting at the age at starting of the 2025 season. Mr. Detroit City, Andrew Tate is the man. Andrew Tate Ratledge. Yeah, what color's his Bugatti? What color's your Bugatti? That's a terrible impression. It's a terrible impression. Oh, well. Miles Frazier will be the youngest, 23 years old, of the fifth-round pick. Frazier played 13 games in each of the last 3 college seasons, displaying excellent reliability. I have not found any significant medical concerns which would make him the healthiest and youngest member of the entire group. Tate Ratledge, Andrew Tate Ratledge, the Michigan mullet man. He'll be 24 and is a second-round pick. My guy. I honestly, guys, I'm very torn on the projections. We will be able to really polish this down come training camp, and a lot can change. Guys get hurt in camp all the time. Look at John Kaminsky last year, right? On paper right now, from left to right, you go Decker, Glasgow, Ragnow, Christian Mahogany, Penei Sewell, right? Penciling Mahogany to be that replacement for Kevin Zeitler because he played at a nasty high level last year. There is still Awashika in-house, and now we brought in Frazier and Ratledge, right? Honestly, I fully expect Tate Ratledge. Excuse me. I fully expect Tate Ratledge to win the starting left guard spot or right guard spot and moving Mahogany over to the left guard spot. I really, really don't. I mean, unless Ratledge is just not him right out of the rip, and I think he's going to be him right out of the rip. I think Graham Glasgow played at a diminished level last year, took a significant full grade step back last year. He's still on roster because he does still play well enough, and his interior offensive lineman versatility, he will be penciled in more so as your interior offensive line swing player. Come in to play either of the guard spots in lieu of a Mahogany or Ratledge injury. Or, obviously, if God forbid something happens to Frank Ragnow and he goes down, Graham Glasgow can come in and play center at a relatively high level. What color is Tate's truck? What color's your Ford F-150? Wouldn't that be something, though, if he showed up and the Ford family was like, hey, we got a new truck for it. And he's like, I ain't a Ford man. I ain't no Ford man. I ain't a Ford man. I really like Tate Ratledge. In 2021, he had Liz Frank surgery and missed the rest of the season. In 24, he had tightrope surgery for a high left ankle sprain and missed 7 weeks. Neither of these issues are Neither of these issues are active concerns, and he is expected to be healthy entering his rookie season. But down the road, there is a chance of injury-related arthritic issues, which is a head started by his older rookie age. Yeah, I guess. I still will take a 24-year-old playing at a high SEC level than a Graham Glasgow. Speaking of Graham Glasgow, there he is. And I know it's Glasgow. I like to call him Glasgow because he's a big dude. He's 33. Now, I myself am 37, so, I am older than he. But could I have seen myself playing in the NFL at 33? I don't think I don't think I would have been able to do it. My God. Glasgow was listed with a knee twice last season and missed 1 game for it. The public injury reports are just the tip of the player's injury iceberg, making it possible that the knee was bothering him for much of the year. There are no details on this knee injury, but there is concern of it as a chronic issue that persists in the 2025 campaign. His age is 33, becoming a concern as well. Offensive linemen can play longer than some other positions, but age is still a factor. Another offensive guard here, my other guy, Christian Mahogany, who, yes, missed time last year with some off-the-field stuff, had to take care of his personal life, get things wrapped up. But, boy, when he came back, did he not come back like a man possessed, playing like a day 1, day 2 pick? Christian Mahogany, a steal. Mahogany missed training camp and half the season due to mono, but that is of no concern going forward. Oh, okay, so he had mono. Right. Mono sucks. I had mono once. That was fucking terrible. Oh my God, was that awful. What raises eyebrows is that he was wearing a right knee brace all of last season with a history of 2022 right ACL. The ACL shouldn't be a concern at this point, but it makes you wonder if there was an associated knee damage with the ACL injury. And then we'll wrap it up here with Frank Rat. Uh-oh. There we go. A little bit of lag here. We'll wrap it up with Frank Ragnow coming in at 29 years old. Man, it feels like he's been around for a lot longer than that. Ragnow has battled through some injuries to many body parts over the years, including a left pec strain back in 2024, a left knee meniscus, left MCL, high left ankle, and a calf in 2023. Let's not forget that early on in his career, he played with a broken vertebrae in his neck. The main ongoing concern may be a toe injury that is suspected to have started to exacerbate in 2021. An outlook, the Lions had need for an offensive guard entering the draft and aggressively added it in both the 2nd and 5th rounds. Doubling up with Frazier was valuable as he instantly becomes the youngest, healthiest member of the group. Maybe the biggest part of the team's identity is a strong offensive line, thus adding 2 young players would ensure that strength continues. And yes, we did trade up to go get both of those guys. So they were both on boards. They were both Brad Holmes guys, and we were able to get them. It might cost us a little bit on the back end, but look, if Holmes got you pegged, Holmes is going to go after you. I like this offensive line group. Again, I do really think that we're going to live in a world where it's going to be the youth movement at the guard spots for the Detroit Lions. You're going to see the 2 vets, Decker and Ragnow will be the oldest of the group. You're going to have a rookie and Ratledge playing 12 games probably. Mahogany, if he stays healthy, is going to play all the games. And then obviously give him his gold jacket already, Penei Sewell holding down the right tackle spot. I just think Ratledge is that guy. I think he is a sneaky good pick. I do like this Miles Frazier pick the more I read about it, adding some versatility and depth, as well as keeping the strengths of our team at a relatively young age and not allowing things to age out and get past us at a time where, you don't want to be having to draft the replacement for a guy because there isn't even a viable option in-house, right? So let's get on over and we'll talk about our guy Tate Ratledge. But before we do, if you guys haven't already, would you mind liking the video, subscribing to the channel, ringing that notification bell so that you can be part of the Hat and Beard Show every Monday through Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here at youtube.com until the start of the regular season, in which case we will be expanding and going 5 days a week. That's right, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here at YouTube.com, breaking down all NFL and Detroit Lions content all season long. You can be a part of it. And you can join in the chat with guys like Mr. Detroit City, Mr. S, Frank the Tank, I'm Chasing Chase, Cody Till makes an appearance here or there. All kinds of people pop up, and we have quite a cast that we would love to have you guys be a part of it. So feel free to drop in, hang out, and do whatever you can. And finally, sharing this content around with all your friends. Just copy that link down on your clipboard. It's the number one way to tell the algorithm that this content needs to get pushed out there, guys. We are getting ever, if you can, go ahead and assault that like button. I like that, Chase. I like that a lot, Chase. If you can, go ahead and assault that like button. Man. All right, boys. So, Thursday, during our pre-draft live show, I kind of really gushed over Tate Ratledge. I'd been getting higher and higher on him all week long, and I had said that we had to walk out of this draft with Tate Ratledge. He was my guy. My dude, and boy howdy, Brad Holmes didn't just stroke my ego by trading up to go get my guy, and it just further cemented. I mean, I almost get it now, where people are constantly confusing me and Brad Holmes, but you know, guys, I mean, we say it all the time. The biggest difference between me and Brad Holmes is, say it with me now, he's got a lot shorter hair than I do. But hey, I did get a haircut. Check this out. Hey, I did get a haircut. And considered going with the mullet in solidarity with old Tate Ratledge here. But the girl cutting my hair didn't seem to think that was quite the wisest decision. So appreciate that. Saved me a little bit of potential embarrassment. All right, so we're going to roll over to SI.com. 5 things to know about the new Lions offensive lineman Tate Ratledge. It's coming from Emmett Matofsky. Now, this came out a couple days ago, but it's still relevant. Let's go ahead and pause Brad Holmes talking there. On Thursday, the Detroit Lions let the board fall to them. That was not the case on night 2 in Green Bay. Brad Holmes and the Lions traded up 3 spots to take Georgia interior offensive lineman Tate Ratledge. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me again. Here are 5 things to know about the newest member of the Lions offensive line. So, right off the rip, team captain, locker room. Dude. Sorry about that. He's a team captain and a locker room leader. High character guy. It's got Brad Holmes written all over him, especially with the tenacity in which he plays football at. He's a football player. Ratledge is a 2-time national champion with the Bulldogs, alongside being a first-team All-American last season. Not only is he successful on the field, but the lineman is well respected by his teammates, too. He was a team captain as a senior at Georgia, which was one of his goals when he returned for his final season. One of those guys who was an All-American last year. He probably could have gone in the first round, but he decided to come back. Now, I do tend to fall into the camp of, there's not a lot of value in coming back. 9 times out of 10, you do not add value coming back for your senior year. But in this case, Tate Ratledge did, getting that team captain, that leadership role that elevated him in the eyes of certain general managers, i.e. Brad Holmes. Badass play from the heart, all draft picks from the Detroit Lions. Exactly, Frank the Tank. Bad asses. Just a bunch of hard-running Jessies, a bunch of guys out there playing with their hair on fire. You know what I'm saying? Just high motor, high heart guys, big energy dudes, ball players. You know what I'm saying? Ball players. Detroit's going to be just a nasty team to fucking tangle with, man. His signature mullet is not the only personality trait for the lineman. He was roommates with former Georgia quarterback Carson Beck. Beck chose to transfer to Miami in a highly publicized move this offseason, and Ratledge voiced support for the quarterback. His support and connections with his teammates is why he was an easy choice for the captainship at Georgia, alongside Atlanta Falcons' first-round selection, Jalen Walker. He has a multi-sport background. That's not counting the hunting that he does. These are just sports. While Ratledge was a top 100 player nationally coming out of high school, the guard was also a state qualifier for the shot put in track and field, where he placed 3rd as a senior. I did shot put at the state level. Hey. Also, he played basketball for Darlington High School in Rome, Georgia. Hell of an athlete right there. Even on the gridiron, he was not just an offensive lineman. He also punted at one point in high school. He's got the golden toe. He's the dirtbag with the golden toe. Frank the Tank sports the mullet. I got one. Hell yeah, Frank the Tank. And you know what? Maybe when we get closer to the season, I bring back the battle beard and maybe grow a mullet. We'll see. His athletic background is quite apparent, with the guard turning heads as he ran a 4.940 at the NFL Combine. That is a big man moving big fast. One unique pastime. At the NFL Combine, Ratledge was asked if he has any off-field pastimes to help him improve that game. His answer would not be among most people's first 50 guesses. Turkey hunting. It improves his patience and is a great life lesson and an analogy for football. And who else within the organization that plays at an all-pro level and was a Walter Payton Man of the Year finalist 2 years ago also enjoys hunting? Oh, boy. Similar characteristics to our guy, Frank Ragnow. Let's go. Quote, one that helps me be a better football player? Turkey hunting, Ratledge revealed. It makes you more patient. I think it's the same way as football. You're not going to see success right away, but if it's something you keep at and keep at it and keep at it, and eventually it's going to work out for you. That philosophy of keeping at it has worked out well for the lineman with 2 national championship rings, multiple selections to All-American and All-SEC teams, and a Day 2 draft selection. He's another gritty addition. One of the top words thrown around regarding Ratledge was, quote, gritty. Ratledge has had multiple injuries, missing at least one game in all of his seasons as a Bulldog. However, that did not keep the lineman down. He needed tightrope surgery to repair an ankle as a senior. Normally that requires 6 weeks of recovery, but he was back on the field in 4 games. That's pretty impressive. That is very impressive. I mean, that is a big man that had surgery on a very, very high pressure joint that he needs to be able to pivot, mobilize, push off of, utilize his leverage, stick his foot in the ground and hold opposing forces like the levee, you know what I mean, holding back the water. You know, it's very impressive that he was able to come back in 4 games when it typically requires 6 weeks. His play and style has been called that of a, quote, dirt bag. And the guard is willing to play hard-nosed, grit-filled football. Lance Zierlein called Ratledge as having a, quote, dirt dog mentality. The lineman is resilient and plays with the effort and spirit that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell is all about. Utilizing his size. Ratledge has always been big physically, and it was not always easy when he was growing up. Now he is a player that is called a, quote, bad man and one of the most physical linemen who was in the NFL draft. In an interview with Georgia John Ferentsen in 2022, the lineman opened up about his size. Growing up, he would come home crying about how he felt out of place and was wishing to be the same size as everyone else. Yeah, I fucking know that feeling. I used to go home and tell my mom crying that I wanted to be the same size as everybody else. I felt out of place, Ratledge said. Sports wound up being Ratledge's outlet, and his dad, Dean, an all-Ohio Valley linebacker in college for Tennessee Tech, told him that everyone would want to be his size. Turns out that was prophetic, as now Ratledge and his imposing size will be playing on Sundays. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that is getting to know Tate Ratledge. 5 things we can know about him, need to know about him off the field. Felt. Yes, dude. We all kind of, I think a lot of us here can relate to Tate Ratledge feeling out of place, you know? And now look at him. The dude's playing ball on Sunday. Could have gone in the first round. Dude, I had high grades on this guy, and I'm so glad the Lions walked out of the NFL draft with him. I'm very hype about this. Oh, man, oh, man. Well, boys, we're running a little short. We'll try and milk it out a little bit, see how the chat's feeling down below, kind of popping off down there. You guys been holding it down all day. I appreciate it. Any big plans for today, fellas? Anything going on? Anything cool cooking for y'all? I'm going to be going back to work for the first time in 5 days. Had a nice 5 days off there. It was mad, wicked relaxing. But now I get to deal with the old 8 watching. Hey, James, I appreciate it. 8 watching. Dude, that's what's up. I didn't realize there was that many watching. My chat is like mad wicked behind. I can't ever tell how many people are watching. 8 watching, though, that's pretty damn impressive for me. Shout out to y'all. Hell yeah. Them are some good numbers, boys. Them are some good numbers. I must be doing something right, or you guys are really bored. Hey! Anyway. Might do a real late stream tonight. Late or not. Late for me is like 9. Gotcha. Well, hey, you guys head on over to Chase's channel. I'm pretty sure you got your link to your Twitch channel. He'll be live streaming over on Twitch. Tends to upload to youtube.com after he edits it down a little bit. And my boy Chase over here dabbling with a little bit of dual streaming software here for us, working out some kinks so that we can start to maybe do a little dual streaming ourselves, maybe reach out to littlerumble.com. Jenna Hall says, I like the pick. He will play with grit and gusto. He will indeed play with grit and gusto. It's a hard running Jesse. The dude is a man possessed, a culture fit. I absolutely love the Tate Ratledge selection. I've been calling for it for a week and a half now, and I can't wait to see the development that he has under the tutelage of Hank Fraley, the best offensive line coach in football. One of my top 2 candidates. I had 2 guys in-house that I felt should have ascended to the offensive coordinator position. They ended up going with an outside hire with John Morton. We'll see how that works out. I think Hank Fraley could have and should have been the offensive coordinator and done a really good job with it. I also thought that Mark Brunell was going to be more or less an instant shoe-in, right, with his time with Jared Goff, his understanding of what Goff does well. But ultimately, we didn't go that route. Leaving Hank Fraley, I mean, he did ascend to running game coordinator, I think assistant head coach, and offensive line coach. So that bodes well. And I really see with this Tate Ratledge, I do really see Hank Fraley's dirty little dick beaters all over this pick. He was a guy, not only is he a scheme fit and a culture fit, but just the individual, the player himself is just a perfect fit for what we try and do here in Detroit. So I really do see Hank Fraley's dirty little dick beaters all over this pick here. And the one thing that I really, really like and that I think we should kind of try to focus on a little bit is the old adage of iron sharpens iron, right? We see how well Aiden Hutchinson has been able to do. Now, yes, Aiden Hutchinson came in as the number 2 overall pick, all the accolades, and an elite level athlete, a dominant college defensive force, but without being able to go against future Hall of Famer Penei Sewell, does Aiden Hutchinson develop at the rate in which he developed? Does he develop the tools that he needed to develop in order to go against this Hall of Fame caliber offensive lineman day in and day out at practice? And how well now can we take that and how the culture, both players being selections by the Detroit Lions, being Brad Holmes picks, now you're going to see the battle develop on the interior offensive line with our first 2 picks, right? With Tyleik Williams and Tate Ratledge, iron sharpening iron, Brad Holmes knowing exactly what he's going to do. And now you see these 2 high-level guys being able to develop together as they play against one another, which is just wildly beneficial for our entire team. Frank the Tank, this team is not only stacked with players, they're also stacked with coaches that make all the difference. I completely agree. I do think, now a few years ago, I did a video. This was back when Mike Vrabel was still the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and D'Amico Ryans had just been named head coach of the Houston Texans. Excuse me. And that was the rise of the player coach, where I think now we're seeing how impactful. Yes, most coaches did play at a certain level, right? But very few coaches were the guy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys who were the guy end up transitioning into, retired life. They go into broadcasting. Some go into coaching. But traditionally, coaching was more of a backup quarterback's game. You know what I'm saying? But now we're starting to see guys who played at high levels, Hank Fraley being one of them, Aaron Glenn being one of them, Dan Campbell, where we're bringing in a former coach or a former player to be the head coach, but then that head coach is developing an entire coaching staff around former players because they have better insight into the day-to-day life. They can communicate with the players better than just your X's and O's type guy. I'm not saying all X's and O's coaches are bad. I'm just saying that when you're trying to build a very specific type of culture, all pieces have to fit. And I think that somehow throughout the past 5 years, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have set out with a mission and a plan and been able to develop the coaching staff, put people in positions to exceed the expectations and achieve the dream of exactly what they had envisioned. And I think what we're seeing now is a Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes revolutionizing not only part of the product that we see on the field with a transition back to hard-nosed football, running the ball, gritty defense, hard hitting, but you're also seeing now the evolution of the coaching mentality and Dan Campbell kind of being a trendsetter, Brad Holmes kind of being a trendsetter, and you're seeing more and more teams follow suit. Just look at Aaron Glenn and small PP Benedict Arnold Johnson, the trader in the Windy City. It's following suit because of the success that the Lions organization has had. We know the NFL is a parity league, so when something is successful and has now been proven to be successful, other than a wildcat offense, flash in the pans type style, we're seeing 5 years of success, 5 years of a complete rebuild into a perennial powerhouse of an organization. Did that make sense? Boy, I hope that made sense. I have no idea if that made sense, but if it made sense, go ahead and assault that like button for me if that made sense. So, oh boy. Well, tomorrow, guys, we will scour the web for a little bit of NFL news. We'll try and dig in some Detroit Lions news as we can, and then we'll also be taking a closer look. I'm not going to do so much the rounds 4 and beyond picks as detailed as we have rounds 1, 2, and 3. But tomorrow, after we get a little bit of Lions news out of the way, at the back end of the show, we will be focusing on Frank the Tanks guy. He called it on Thursday. Holy shit, I couldn't believe it when they called his name. Even Hat and Boobs is like, oh my God, isn't that the guy? I was like, that is the guy. We're going to be taking a little closer look at Isaac Tasala and what he brings to the Detroit Lions, what we can maybe expect out of our 3rd round pick wide receiver, a nice bigger body, smooth route runner, good hands, high caliber, high class personality type guy. Fits the Brad Holmes system of what we're trying to do. These were all picks, just no reaches, no swings, no misses, just exactly who we felt was the best player available for not only the team but the locker room as well. And I couldn't be happier with it. We called the Tate Ratledge pick. We called the defensive tackle pick in the 1st round. We ended up, because of Frank the Tank chiming in with the Isaac Tasala, we called the Isaac Tasala pick. And then we've also just been able to pinpoint, now this I don't think is really that groundbreaking, but Brad Holmes doing what Brad Holmes done and double dipping offensive guard with Ratledge in the 2nd and Frazier in the 5th. It was just a matter of time after those first 2 picks came in to see where he was going to double dip at, and giving himself twice the opportunity to be successful at that position. All right. Well, there. We will be a little bit shorter than normal. We ended up going till about 10 after here. We're going to start wrapping the show up. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day. We talked about Shedeur Sanders for the last time. Some rumors, some little tummy feels that A to Z has over who the Lions were potentially going to trade up for. They feel like it was Shamar Stewart, and I think the case that they built was pretty good. I myself wasn't a Shamar Stewart fan. I was higher on Nick Scorton as a fit for the Detroit Lions than Shamar Stewart. We then broke down the entire offensive guard room for the Detroit Lions, including Frank Ragnow, but somehow missing out on Awashika. And I've also seen speculations that Giovanni Manu could start taking reps at the interior offensive line spot just to see kind of what we can get out of the guy as he continues to develop. And then we took an even closer look at my guy, the Michigan mullet, Tate Ratledge. My dude. What an absolute steal. Super justifying and super ego-stroking for me here at the Hat and Beard Show. Those are the things we went down, looked at, did for y'all. Let's take a look over at the poll here. How hype are you that we called the Ratledge pick? We had 9 votes. 89% said that we are hyped that we nailed the pick, and 11% said we're all on the short bus. So that's exactly it, buddy. I'm glad that you all were here to ride around on the short bus with me today. Now that we've reached our destination, let's strap on our helmets and go on inside and start licking some windows until we head home for some dino nuggies and mac and cheese. Guys, try and have yourself a good rest of the day. Stay out of trouble. Down in the chat, Frank the Tank says, double-dipped wide receiver. We did double-dip at wide receiver, and we not only did we double-dip at wide receiver, but we took a Georgia product. So we took 3 Georgia players, white safety, which was weird, a white wide receiver, but he didn't play at Georgia, and then the other wide receiver, he played at Missouri, Lowry, I think his name is, and he actually is a very crisp route runner. Probably should have been more productive in college, though. I think his size and stature limited him a little bit. Great show. You topped out at 14 viewers. Hell yeah. Chasing Chase. My dude, 14 viewers. That's what's up. Damn, we got eight of you guys in here still hanging out? For real? That's amazing, you guys. That is freaking amazing, y'all. Yeah, we still got 8 of you guys hanging out in chat right now. You know, a few weeks ago, we had like 3 or 4 of y'all, so we've doubled up. That's very impressive during the off season. This is amazing. This is amazing. You guys are dope, dude. Sticking around, hanging out like this. Freaking awesome. Freaking awesome. And because you guys are so awesome, try and have yourself a good rest of the day, right? Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Don't call for bail money. It's off pay week, so, you know, I'm definitely dog fucked on that one. All right, well, that's going to be it for me, guys. Try and have yourself a good rest of the day. I've been Hattenbeard. You've been attentive audience. We will see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here at youtube.com for some more NFL and Lions news. Until then,